distinguishable solid color on the other conductor or conductors of cords having insulation on the individual conductors integral with the jacket. So E, thinned conductors. So one conductor having the individual strands thinned and the other conductor or conductors having individual strands unthinned for cords having insulation on the individual conductors integral with the jacket. So F, surface markings. So one or more ridges, grooves, or white stripes located on the exterior of the cord so as to identify one conductor for cords having insulation on the individual conductor integral with the jacket. Chapter 4.0.2.4, so equipment grounding conductor identification. So a conductor intended to be used as an equipment grounding conductor shall be a continuous identifying marker readily distinguishing it from the other conductor or conductors. So conductor having continuous green color or a continuous green color with one or more yellow stripes shall not be used for other than equipment grounding conductors. So cords or cables consisting of integral insulation in jacket without a non-integral grounding conductor shall be permitted to be green. So the identifying marker shall consist of one or of the methods in chapter 4.0.2.4 A or B. So A, colored bead. A bead finish to show a continuous green color or a continuous green color with one or more yellow stripes. So B, colored insulation or covering. So for cords having new beads on the individual conductors, an insulation of a continuous green color or continuous green color with one or more yellow stripes. So chapter 4.0.2.5, so attachment plugs. So a flexible cord is provided with an equipment grounding conductor and equipped with an attachment plug. So the attachment plug shall comply with chapter 2.50.7.9 A and B. So portable cables over 600 volts nominal. So chapter 4.0.1. So part 4.0.3 applies to single and multi-conductor portable cables used to connect mobile equipment and machinery. Chapter 4.0.3.2 construction. So A, conductors. So the conductor shall be 3.5 mm squared or 2.0 mm in diameter. So copper or larger and shall employ flexible stranding. B, equipment grounding conductors. So an equipment grounding conductor shall be provided in cables with 3 or more conductors. So the total area shall not be less than that of the size of the equipment grounding conductor required in chapter 2.50.6.13. So chapter 4.0.3.3, so all shields shall be connected to an equipment grounding conductor. So chapter 4.0.3.4, so equipment grounding conductors. So equipment grounding conductors shall be connected in accordance with part 2.50.6 and part 2.50.7. So chapter 4.0.3.5, so minimum bending radii. The minimum bending radii for portable cables during installation and handling in service shall be adequate to prevent damage to the cable. So chapter 4.0.36, three things. Connectors used to connect lengths of cable in a run shall be of a type that locks firmly together. So provision shall be made to prevent opening or closing these connectors while energized. So suitable means shall be used to eliminate tension at connectors and terminators. Chapter 4.0.3.7, splice and termination. So portable cables shall not contain splices unless the splices are of the permanent molded. So vulcanized types in accordance with chapter 1.10.1.14 B. Terminations on portable cables rated over 600 volts nominal shall be accessible only to authorized and qualified personnel. So Article 4.2, fixtures wires. So this article covers general requirement and construction specification for fixture wires. So chapter 4.2.1.2. So fixture wires shall comply with this article and also with the applicable provision of other articles of this code. So chapter 4.2.1.3. So fixture wires shall be a type listed in table 4.2.1.3 and they shall comply with all requirements of the table. The fixture wires listed in table 4.2.1.3 are suitable for services at 600 volts nominal unless otherwise specified. So chapter 4.2.1.5, so allowable ampacities for fixture wires. So the allowable ampacity of fixture wires shall be as specified in table 4.2.1.5. So no conductor shall be used under such conditions that its operating temperature exceeds the temperature specified in table 4.3.1.3 for the type of insulation involved. So chapter 4.2.1.6, so the minimum size. So fixture wires shall not be smaller than 0.75 mm squared or 1.0 in diameter. So chapter 4.2.1.7, number of conductors in conduit or tubing. The number of fixture wires permitted in a single conduit or tubing shall not exceed the percentage fill specified in table 10.1.1.1. So chapter 4.2.1.8, grounded conductor identification. So fixture wires that are intended to be used as grounded conductors shall be identified by one or more continuous white stripes on other than green insulation or by means described in 4.0.2.3 A through F. So chapter 4.2.1.9, so markings. So A, method of marking. So thermoplastic insulated fixtures wire shall be durably marked on the surface at the intervals not exceeding 610 mm. So all the fixture wire shall be marked by means of a printed tag attached to the coil, reel, or cartoon. So B, optional markings. So fixture wires shall be permitted first for installation in luminaries and in similar to be surface marked to indicate special characteristics of the cable materials. So these markings includes but are not limited to markings for limited smoke, sunlight resistance, and so forth. So chapter 4.2.1.14, so overcurrent protection. So overcurrent protection for fixture wires shall be as specified in chapter 2.4.1.5. So here is the table for the fixture wires and the allowable ampacity for fixture wires. So article 4.4, switches. So chapter 4.4.1.1, so the provision of this article apply to all switches, switching devices, and circuit breakers used as switches operating at 1000 volts and below, unless specifically referenced elsewhere in this code for higher voltages. So chapter 4.4.1.2, switches connections. So first is the 3-way and 4-way switches. So 3-way and 4-way switches shall be wired so that all switching is done only in the ungrounded circuit conductor. So where in metal raceway or metal armored cables, wiring between switches and outlets shall be in accordance with chapter 3.0.1.20a. So exception, so switch loops shall not require as a grounded conductor. So B, grounded conductors, so switches or circuit breakers shall not be disconnect the grounded conductor of a circuit. So exception, a switch or circuit breaker shall be permitted to disconnect a grounded circuit conductor where all circuit conductors are disconnected disconnected simultaneously, or where the device is arranged so that the grounded cannot be disconnected until all the ungrounded conductors of the circuit have been disconnected. C. Switches controlling lighting loads. So the grounded circuit conductor for the controlled lighting circuit conductor shall be installed at the location where switches control lighting loads that are supplied by a grounded general purpose branch circuit serving bathroom, hallways, stairways, or rooms suitable for human habitation or occupancy as defined in the applicable building code. So, where multiple switches location control the same lighting loads such that the interfloor area of the room or space is visible from the single or combined switch locations, the grounded circuit conductor shall only be required at one location. A grounded conductor shall not be required to be installed at a lighting switch location under any of the following conditions. So first, where conductors enter the box enclosing the switch through a raceway, provided that the raceway is large enough for a contained conductors, including a grounded conductor. The second is where the box enclosing the switch is accessible for the installation of an additional or replacement cable without removing finished materials. The third is where snap switches with integral enclosures comply with Chapter 3.0.1.15e. So, fourth, where lighting in the area is controlled by automatic means, and the last is where a switch controls a receptacle load. So the grounded conductor shall be extended to any switchboard location as necessary and shall be connected to switching devices that require line to neutral voltage to operate the electronics of the switch in the standby mode and shall meet the requirements of Chapter 4.4.2.3. The exception for this, so the connection requirement shall become effective on January 1, 2020. It shall not apply to replacement or retrofit switches installed in locations prior to local adoption of Chapter 4.1.2c and where the grounded conductor cannot be extended without removing finished materials. So the number of electronic lighting control switches on a branch circuit shall not exceed 5, and the number connected to any feeder on the load side of a system or main banding jumper shall not exceed 25. So for the purpose of this exception, a neutral bus bar in compliance with Chapter 2.0.1.2b and to which a main or lighting control switches connected. So Chapter 4.1.3, so in general, so switches and circuit breakers shall be of the externally operable type mounted in an enclosure listed for the intended use. So the minimum wire bending space at terminals and minimum gutter space provided in switch enclosures shall be as required in Chapter 3.12.1.6. So exception number 1. So fendant and surface type snap switches and knife switches mounted on an open face switchboard or panel board shall be permitted without enclosures. So exception number 2. So switches and circuit breakers installed in accordance with Chapter 1.10.2.2. So A2, A3, and E4 shall be permitted without enclosures. So B, so use as a raceway. So enclosure shall not be used as a junction box, auxiliary, cutters, or raceways for conductors feeding through or topping off to other switches or overcurrent devices, unless the enclosure complies with 3.12.1.8. So for Chapter 4.4.1.4, so dump or weight locations. So A, surface mounted switch or circuit breaker. So a surface mounted switch or circuit breaker shall be enclosed in a weatherproof of enclosure or cabinet that shall comply with Chapter 3.12.1.2. So B, flush mounted switch or circuit breaker. So a flush mounted switch or circuit breaker shall be equipped with a weatherproof cover. So letter C. So switches in tub or shower spaces, so shall not be installed within tubs or shower spaces unless installed as part of listed tabs